What is up, guys? It is Alex, and in this video I'm going to show you how to effectively manage your leads from marketing. Because if the ball is dropped at this step, all of the advertising, all the ad spend that you're doing to generate these leads is essentially all for nothing if you don't reach out to any of the leads or do anything with them after this step. So without further ado, let's get into essentially the first and most important critical step when managing leads, and that is speed to lead. Speed to lead, or STL. Speed to lead, or STL, is super important, and what you should aim for with this is about a contact time of 1 to 3 minutes after having received the lead in your CRM, okay? So they opt into the form or what have you, you get a notification, you wanna be reaching out and contacting that lead within about 1 to 3 minutes ideally. Because if you submit a form online and you're just sitting there waiting, you're like, well, what do I do now? Imagine if that company or that business gets back to you essentially right when you submitted with maybe some type of automated confirmation message like, hey, Alex, thanks for submitting that form about some interest in going to the med spa. Just to confirm, is this your information, yes or no? Reply yes, and now I'm engaging a little bit with that business. So maybe consider an initial automated message. So an initial automated message, something that maybe prompts them to reply or confirm, something of that sort. And then of course we want to reach out via text and or call. Call is preferred. So I would like to see if we can call them within 1 to 3 minutes. And real quick here, guys, I prefer call. Calling is king. I'll write it here again. Call is king. If I had to put them in order, it would be call, then text, then email. I'll see companies or businesses reaching out to their leads, and maybe they'll just sporadically send 1 or 2 a text message, or they'll just say, hey, we saw that you filled out our form 2 weeks ago. Please reply with a time that would work best for you to come in and make an appointment. A couple things wrong with this. First of all, we should be following up really consistently in the beginning, so a front-loaded effort, as I like to call it. The lead is not as warm, say a month down the road. They're really hot, really warm right when they submit the form inquiry, and then they get colder over time. Imagine you just got a boiling pot of water off the stove. It's going to literally just get colder and colder as time goes on. Really reach out maybe 2 to 3 times the first couple days after having received that form inquiry. So we're gonna do speed to lead. We're gonna have a front-loaded effort. So I would say 2 times call the first 3 days in a front-loaded manner. I don't mean text them 2 times the first couple days. I don't mean send them a nice email. Give them a call, a cold call, dial that lead at least twice the first couple days. And so after that, we're gonna do follow-up, of course. So I wanna hit at least, let's say, 10 call attempts before I completely give up on that lead. Because are you just gonna ditch leads after having called 5 times, 6 times? We might as well just maximize our total possible pipeline value. So let's put that at 10. You might as well just keep leads in your pipeline until they tell you no. There's no reason to just get rid of leads that they've at some point let us know that they're interested in our product or service, so we should keep them in our pipeline. And I would say reasonably, if you've given them a call 10 times, you can then get rid of them after that point. So if we have day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I would say 2 times, 2 times, 2 times. So now we've already called them 6 times, right? Maybe you can give them a call once here, once here. Now we're at 8. By the time week 2 rolls around, it's essentially a breaking point here. We're gonna either get them or we're not. So maybe we let 2 days go by here, we reach out again here, we reach out again here. By the 2-week point, a lot of times is when it's safe to say that a lead isn't interested. There's no point in keeping leads around months and months down the road unless you're doing some type of long-term nurturing where maybe once every 2 weeks you reach out with a new offer special that you're doing or something like that. So let's erase some of this here. So point number 3 would be have good booking principles, okay? So let's just say booking principles. We want to first book close to the time that they initially submitted the form, or book soon. We don't want to put them on the calendar a month down the road. We want to put them on tomorrow, later today, later tomorrow, 2 days from now. So I call that days to the appointment. We want to minimize days to the appointment. So we booked them out 5 days. That's later this week, iffy. We booked them out 14 days. That's an even colder booking. That's a lower likelihood of getting them to show and start, right? Or we book them 0 days, same day. We want to minimize days to the appointment. We also want to maximize the amount of information that we give them. We want to show them where our business is located. You can park here. Dr. So-and-so is great. You're going to speak with Jeff. He's a great account representative. You're going to love him. we also want to give them pre-appointment nurture information. This can be content, social media posts, pictures, videos, some type of welcome video or tour video of your office or space or business. This can be case studies page or past clients results, wall of testimonials page, links to your social proof page, links to your Google reviews. That can be helpful. I know it's kind of random, but if they sound, they're inquisitive and they're asking some questions, be like, hey John, I know you have a lot of questions. Here's a link to our social media where we actually answer a lot of these for you. I know I touched on a lot of them, but you can just go over them as well. Maybe this is new for you, right? So here's a link to our Google reviews. You'll hear from so-and-so, Sally and Jim and Bill. They all had great experiences with us. I'd love if you just gave that a read through because we'd be really happy to welcome you into our business. So let's just say links, right? Social proof. Let's just say links to socials or website. The worst thing you can do here is book the appointment and then not touch base with them ever again, right? Because they're not going to hear from you and you're not going to hear from them. So they should be hearing from you in the form of materials, content, videos, pictures, social proof, links. And then you should also, of course, be making confirmation. Confirmation in the form of a 24-hour reminder call. Let's just call it a 24-hour RC, okay? You can also send texts, reminder texts. One you can do is a 1 day, a 6 hour, like earlier that day, and then like a 1 hour. That can be the cadence for your reminder texts. 2 days, 1 day, 6 hours before, and 1 hour before. And then one of the most high leverage, calling their bluff, strong arm method of securing a showed appointment is financial commitment or getting a card on file. So I'll put that here, card on file. Because there's no better way to call someone's bluff than to get them to put a card on file and let them know, hey John, just to let you know, we're setting aside this time to work with you personally for this appointment. So one policy that we have is if you don't show up to the appointment, we do have a $25 no-show fee. It's super cheap, but it just makes sure that everyone that does make an appointment with us is committed. Make sure that our time is respected, your time is respected, etc. So if you're ready for that, if that sounds good, we can go ahead and get that card on file for you and you'll be locked in and your time will be reserved. But you do want to get some type of financial commitment is probably one of the best things you can do, just an at-scale measure to make sure that you get showed appointments. Because the goal with these booking principles is to get shows. Because here, we're getting leads, then we want to maximize the amount of leads that we contact, then we want to maximize the amount of leads that we book into appointments, then we want to maximize the amount of leads that actually show up, then we want to maximize the amount of leads that start or pay us to do business. So let's draw our attention over here now. Let's talk about some KPIs or some key performance indicators that we can consider when we're managing this lead waterfall, if you will, right? Because in advertising, the game is essentially minimizing the amount of leads that slip through the cracks at each step, okay? Because what happens here is you'll get leads for, say, $10 a pop. But some will not be contactable. You just won't simply be able to have a conversation with them. Some won't book an appointment. Some will book an appointment but not show up. Some will book an appointment and show up but not start. So how can we mitigate this slipping through the cracks to maximize our results and our return on ad spend? Really, because in advertising, we're simply trying to make the most efficient use of our ad spend dollars. So let's go over some numbers here. $10 leads, that's a pretty average result. About 60% will actually be contactable. You might be surprised because you might think, well, if someone's submitting their form inquiry, they'll at least respond to my text or they'll at least pick up the phone. You'll be surprised. Obviously doing things like letting them know when they're submitting the form. Hey, just to let you know, we will be reaching out to this number via call from our local number, 410-365. You can be expecting a call in the next 5 minutes, something like that, right? So we include verbiage like that. Please ensure that the information that you've submitted is correct because we will be using this contact information to reach out to you. So please be prepared to take our call in the next 3 minutes, et cetera, et cetera. And then obviously we can increase contact rate by, if some people don't pick up the phone immediately, we go ahead and follow up with them over time, speed to lead, follow up consistently. So maybe at first we're only getting in touch with 40% of the leads, but over time as we follow up, now we've connected with this person that we missed, that person that we missed, etc. So then we move on to our booking. Out of the total amount of leads that we get, typically we see about 20 to 30%. So let's call it 25% of leads will book an appointment if we do everything pretty well. If we're qualifying, if we have a good conversation with them, if it seems like they're a good fit, and we do a good job at presenting our business and our service in an attractive way that makes them want to book. So we're getting about 25% of booking. So if we're contacting leads at about 60%, let's just make an even 50%, $20 per contact, and then per booking, we're getting 25% of leads. So that's 1 in 4. So we're getting $40 bookings. Now that's a really effective campaign for a lot of businesses. If you're getting some type of sales appointment or some type of consultation appointment for $40 a pop, and say you're pretty confident in your closing, you're able to close a good amount of those, well, now you're in a pretty good situation, because if your customer LTV or lifetime value is multiple 3 figures, if not 4 or 5 figures, if you're getting sales appointments for under $100, you're in good shape. But that's where shows come into play. So let's see. You'll be surprised to know that a lot of times getting consistent showed appointments is pretty difficult. So let's be conservative for most average local businesses. If we get a 50% show rate, we're in a decent spot. So now that $40 booking is actually turning into an $80 showed appointment. And this is pretty realistic for most businesses. I know a lot of companies will promise you, oh, we're gonna get pre-qualified, pre-vetted, this and that. But the reality of most businesses and most geographies is if someone's submitting a form, they don't know anything about your business yet. This might be the first time they've heard of you. And you have to do a lot of work on that phone call, sending them pre-appointment information to really make them a hot lead that's gonna show and start. So that's why implementing all of these things is very important. So now we have a showed appointment at about 50% of our bookings. How many are gonna start? Let's call that 30%. If we're able to turn someone who didn't know us at all, at the top of the funnel, cold traffic, they submitted a form because they were interested, they're in market, whatever. We have a great conversation with them on the phone. We book them in for, say, early tomorrow or later today. We send over pre-appointment materials. We confirm again before the call. Hey, John, just texting to make sure that you're still gonna come later today at 4 p.m. Sound good? Yes, great. We'll see you then, John. Looking forward to it. My camera died on me, but just picking up here. So if we're able to get, say, 1 out of 3, 30% of leads to start with us in some capacity and become a customer, cost to acquire, right? Our cost to acquire is somewhere around the range of $240 now for a showed started appointment. Now this is great because if our product or services say, let's say $3K for some type of financial services or some type of product or whatever, if we're putting in 240, let's call it $300, and we're getting about $3,000 out on the back end, right? Now we're at a 10x ROI, and that's amazing, right? And that's if all of these metrics might seem kind of iffy, like, oh, we're only able to contact about half of them, or oh, we're only able to get about half of these appointments to even show up. That's a lot of rejection and a lot of things seemingly slipping through the cracks. But that's why advertising can work, because if you're working at scale with these large numbers and you're just getting such a high volume, which is what advertising really gets you, is such a high volume of leads. Yes, there's gonna be a lot of stuff that we don't want. There's gonna be a lot of unqualified leads. There's gonna be a lot of leads that come to our office or our business and don't start with us in some capacity. There's gonna be a lot of people hanging up the phone or not being able to be reached on the phone. But if we're able to really maximize by using all these principles that I now erased, if we're able to utilize all these principles along each step of the way, we're able to get these types of KPIs and these types of results on the back end. Now, of course, there's other things that we can do, like re-engagement. So say we get 1,000 leads from our initial marketing campaign, and all of those leads have email addresses. Maybe we're sending a monthly newsletter out to all of them, right? And now, over time, we're actually starting to re-engage and get some of these people back into our ecosystem. They may have completely slipped off the cracks months ago when we were running our campaign, but through re-engaging, we're able to get them back into our ecosystem, or we're just top of mind now next time, okay? And of course we get brand awareness, right? We can even do some type of avenue for the reviews. These are just other benefits of advertising, right? Other byproducts, if you will. This also builds our content and case study flywheel. If we're able to spend to acquire customers via advertising, we're able to really speed up that flywheel of getting content and results and case studies that we can then use to market for more clients and customers, right? So let's just call this the customer experience flywheel or content flywheel. All of these things are sped up when we're increasing our throughput or our volume on the front end by spending to acquire. Let's erase this and continue on. We went over how to contact leads, right? Speed to lead, consistent follow-up. Here's a couple other tips for you real quick. For contact rate, to get this number, this 60%, what can we do to increase that KPI and meet that KPI? So obviously speed to lead, follow-up. Also, consider a daily reach out time. This just makes it easier on you to know, okay, every day at 9 a.m. and at 4 p.m. I have to go and dial my leads again and follow up my leads, as opposed to, there's so many sitting here. I reached out to some at 11 and some at 12 and this and that. We already did a lot of initial legwork for you guys with lead management, and we found that typically these are more likely to pick up the phone and answer when they are at non-business hour working times. Things like around 9 a.m. earlier in the day, when the stresses and tasks of the day haven't already piled up on them, maybe around lunchtime, or maybe towards the end of the day around 4 to 5 p.m. or even 6 p.m. So let's just say 9 a.m. and 5 to 6 p.m. are good times to just schedule a daily reach out for all of your leads that are in follow-up, or all of your leads that are in hot but not contacted or booked or confirmed yet. So consider some of these to meet your contact rate, to connect with more leads, get in touch with more leads, okay? So let's get into the booking side. So what can we do to increase that book rate, minimize the days to the appointment, get those appointments in quick? We can also be friendly and rapport. This is an underlooked important one, guys. Literally, if you're just on average more warm, welcoming, and kind to the leads that you speak to, you're simply going to get more people. I've worked with several clients where it just seems like their lead managers just weren't really that invested emotionally, right? And they just didn't care. So, I mean, cool, it's nice to have that abundance mindset, I guess you could frame it as, but we can also do answering questions. So we can call that sales, we can call that pain identification. So figuring out what their pain or problem is and diving into that a little bit, helping them uncover it themselves and realize why what you have is the solution to their pain or problem. That's helping you get this booking piece. And then we also have the show piece, financial commitment, card on file, right? That's one. The second thing we can do is everything that we already discussed pre-appointment. Let's go to start rate, obviously rapport, pain or problem identification, financing. A lot of times if what you have is higher ticket, you already know how often you need to finance things in your business, but especially for people that may be on the colder end, not exactly super hot word of mouth referrals or people that already know, like, and trust you, you may have to lean more into split payments, financing things to get people over the line statistically at scale. So with that being said, guys, we've gone over pretty much lead management from A to Z. We're getting leads at the top, but how do we maximize the amount that we actually get in touch with and then book? And then show, and then how many of those showed appointments are we gonna get to start? So that being said, guys, if you did wanna work with us at Trummer Digital, feel free to book a call in the link below, or comment, ask some questions, reach out, and I'd be happy to help. Or if you're an agency owner that wants to learn how to do what you do better, feel free to reach out to us as well in the links below. With that being said, guys, I'll see you in the next video.